you have your attention, we'll open the meeting at 6 o'clock. Will you join me in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if we could have a moment of silence for the three fallen individuals who are residents in the town of Fort Wayne that recently passed. We have Ian Colty, who passed on January 27th, William Walker, who passed on January 30th, and Dick Parrott, who passed on February 13th. Do you have a moment of silence, please, for those people? Thank you. We will now open the regular meeting of the Fort Wayne Town Board for February 14th, 2022. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the meeting agenda. We have a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Make that motion.
Moved by Mr. Sexton, seconded by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Need to accept the minutes from the regular town board meeting on January 10th of 2022. Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
Made by Deb, seconded by Gretchen. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Accept the minutes from the annual audit report dated 1/20/22.
Make that motion.
Motion by Deb. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Michael. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Now the financial report. The general fund checkbook balance is $95,287.93. The highway fund, we have $125,470.16. The youth commission, we have $3,977.43. The Hadlock Dam project, we have $240. The Hadlock Park District Fund, we have a balance of $13,533.69. Consolidated Health District, we have $370.48 as a balance. The Trusted Agency Fund, we have $3,792.22. The Medical Reimbursement Fund, we have a balance of $1,068.65. Under our savings accounts with NICLAS, we have the general fund of $498,381.65. The NICLAS highway fund, we have $2,588.01. And the NICLAS Hadlock Park District, we have $95,755.80. And the LoSAP, we have a balance of 52 cents. That's our financial report for December of 2021. Now I'd like a motion to authorize payment of the bills, if we may.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Smith, you have a second. Supervisor Sexton, any discussion? All in favor, signal saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Public comment. Does anyone in the public have any comment about any of the agenda items you'd like to bring up at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Report from the town officials and committees. We've been working with the, from my perspective, I've been working with the library. We had an issue up there with the furnace that had to be taken care of and maintained. Been working on with the superintendent of highways on the coordination on that with the roads, with all the ice we had built up on those. And we had some complaints of damage to mailboxes. And that just wasn't isolated to town roads. It was on the county roads and on the state road roads as well. So we responded to those. Supposed to have had a meeting on our flood plan, and we were all set up to have it. And that morning, the individual from the state had tested positive for COVID. Well, let me rephrase that. He had taken a test for COVID, thought he hadn't got the test back yet, so had to cancel that. We're still working on the time to reschedule that, so we can get moving forward with that. But that plan is much more complex than what everyone thought it was going to be, at least from the other towns that they've already done theirs in. And it's been trying to bring it up to a different standard than what it was. And I don't know if the towns or the smaller towns are prepared to be able to do those kind of things. So that's part of what's being in this discussion and part of what he's trying to coordinate for FEMA. And that's all I have at this point in time. So we move to town board members. We'll start with Deb.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay, Deb's good. Michael?
I'm editing as well.
George?
Quiet month, nothing.
All right. Gretchen?
Here I go.
All right.
I had a complaint about parking up at the beach with, ice fishermen. The plows could not get through. I've been up 2 or 3 times, and the times I went up, it wasn't bad. But what has happened is the camp has allowed the fishermen to park at their parking area. So that has helped some. Even after they put the signs up, I think last Wednesday or one of the days last week, the plows could not get through, and they were afraid about the fire trucks if they could get through. So they called the police, and they had cars towed, and as a result, I went Monday. I think this might have had Sunday, I think it had something to do with it because there were very few cars at the beach, and there are a lot of cars at the camp parking lot. So I think they're taking that into consideration, which is it's a sad way to have to do things, but it might work. Because we don't want to close that off to fishermen. With the canal group, there came a grant available with the Glens Falls Hospital. And some recreation committee people met with the fella, and we've got some ideas on what can be done in town for safety reasons. A lot deals with sidewalks, crosswalks, and whatnot that the grant will pay for. We just have to do it. So we're going to meet with the fella again next week and get some substantial ideas down and see if we can get something going as far as safety in the town. There's a lifeguard class coming up during the February school break. And if you know of anybody who's interested in taking it, please have them call the Washington County Youth Bureau. There's a phone number here, and it's going to be posted. It's 10 to 2 on Tuesday through Friday, February 21st through the 25th. It's a good class. Hopefully some people in Port Ann will want to take it, because we're going to need lifeguards at the beach. Need to be 15 years of age and be a fairly strong swimmer. We give you a little leeway because with the swimming, because it has been a while before they have been in the pool, but we work on it for a week. So if you know of anybody, have them sign up. I think that's about it.
Okay. Thank you. Town clerk, Barb.
Okay.
I didn't forget you tonight.
I know. I gave a check to the town for $340.50 for January 1st to January 31st. And I mentioned to everybody earlier before the start of the meeting that our phone system has changed, so we're still working on the auto attendant. But the website has been updated, and hopefully when I get back from Virginia next Tuesday, everything will be in working order. We didn't have heat this morning, so we've accomplished a lot today. We have heat. So that's it for me.
Very good, thank you. The highway superintendent is here tonight. He had no report. The enforcement officer left his report. Building permits, we did 5 in the town. 1 single family, 2 solar, 1 garage, and 1 new kitchen. Demo permits, 1 garage. So you have 12 phone calls, 10 voicemails, 2 emails, 93 texts, 3 meetings, 2 letters. 0 follow-up, 0 fax, 0 courts, and 3 messages. And that concluded his report. And historian, she didn't have a report for tonight. One of the projects under historian that we are going to be working on is that when Virginia Parrott was our historian, a lot of the records and things she had because of her health and her breathing issues, she had maintained over the years at her house, so she could get to them and work to them at her leisure. When she passed, we made an attempt to get the records from there, and Mr. Parrott's health wasn't very good at that point in time, and he was getting all nervous. He was on hospice, and the family thought at that point in time they wouldn't live very long, so they didn't want to disturb him at that point. He passed away yesterday, so we're now in the process of making arrangements to pick up the many boxfuls of records, historical records that are stored at the Parrott's home, so we can get those back in the hands of the town, and we can have it for future use and references. Okay, old business. Under the local law regulating short-term rentals in the town of Fort Anne. We have had some movement on that. We have been working on some different comments and questions to see what's available there. I did a interview with Mr. Rudolph from the used to be the Chronicle, who's the Hilltop now. It's an electronic publishing company, I believe that's what it is. In Foothill business area, and so I know that Caitlin and John responded to that article as well. So things are moving in different directions. As you're aware, Queensberry is taking a look at updating what they already had, which we knew was just a matter of time it was going to happen. And Bolton Lane is doing the same thing. Lake Placid is doing the same thing. So there's several other communities that are actively facing what we perceive to be issues and problems that they are trying to address for the benefit of the whole community. So that's where we are at with that. I know that when we get that done, then the next thing to do would be to go to the site plan review for them to take a look at, and for their input and how that stuff would work. So that's where we are at that juncture. And the stuff we put out there, because there seemed to be some confusion on that, and once again, I'll try to make this as clear as I can. What we put out originally had draft written all over it, and the second stuff that we put out had draft written all over it, and that's what it is, it's a draft. And the draft is a plan in progress. Okay, so none of that stuff is in stone one way or the other. Those are recommendations that are written on paper, put there for print, for everybody to take a look at and see if that's what it was, and that's what it is a draft. So, for anyone that's putting information out there that this is the law that was written or the regulation that was written for that purpose, please don't misrepresent it, because that's not what it is. It is a draft. Okay. Do we have any comment there before we go on?
I have plenty of comment if you're ready for me.
Sure, absolutely.
Sure. Okay. In your interview, first off, are you aware how many rentals are in the Fort Anne area or in Hilltop?
The exact number, no.
Around about, an estimate.
I'm not going to estimate because I really don't know.
Okay, so is it fair for you to say 90% of the volume is from the hospice's house?
Oh, the complaints is, yeah. The complaints I got was, that's what that comment was. 90% of the complaints that I had, that's what that was in reference to, that was the question.
Okay, so where are
Okay.
these complaints? That's what I've been asking. I've emailed, I've texted, I've called, I've asked them.
People didn't put them in writing, and I'm not going to give them up, Caitlin, and I'll tell you why I don't give them up. Because one person, that complained to you on the phone, you sent a sheriff to his house.
Are we
Okay,
talking about Jeff Pepper?
yeah, you got it.
Yes, you are.
Who called me and threatened my office on the work line, and I have it recorded, and I'm gonna post it tonight. So if you wanna see the truth
It wasn't
I don't-
very nice.
about who was getting threatened, it was this man calling my office,
I'm telling you,
Okay.
she's scared of him.
and I recorded the whole thing. So for you to sit here and say that I'm threatening you, shame on you.
But
Shame on you.
let me ask you a question. Did you threaten him?
Did I? No, what did I threaten about? He called my office threatening me.
I don't know.
And I called the sheriff and I played it for the sheriff, and that's why the sheriff went to his home and told him not to contact me.
shame on you for being a business owner. Listen to what I'm saying, okay? Hear me out, Caitlin, because this came up at the very first meeting, and it hasn't changed from people who said you called out complaints or whatever, okay? Is that when they call, you end up making them feel like it's their fault. The people
I
call
did.
the complaint.
I called you because my dog got attacked by some of your renters.
Come on.
Yeah, and I had to put a $2,000 fence up because of YouTube, and I asked you, and you said, listen to this, everybody, listen to this. She told me,
Calm down.
she told me your dog never got attacked, calling me a liar. All right? Lori, who's not here tonight because she's sick, was a witness. My dog got attacked.
Okay, this
Clear?
conversation, when you
Can I
called,
finish? I let you
you
go.
interrupted me, when you called my office, that conversation we had, you admitted that your dog was not attacked, and I have it recorded.
Because you,
I have it recorded, I will post it on Facebook tonight, and you can watch yourself.
And I
So
came
you
to
can,
your house the same day, 15 minutes after
and
you
your
called.
dog was not attacked.
And
yeah,
you
but
said
how
my dog
come,
is
is
sick.
it on, is it on the audio?
I'm calling you dishonest.
Okay,
She
go
said,
ahead.
I have it.
she said,
Okay.
your dog didn't get attacked.
Relax, okay? That's not what this is here for.
Right, and it's a neighbor dispute.
It's a civil matter. If his dog got attacked, call the cops. Period. That's
Well,
it.
now wait a
This
minute.
shouldn't be discussed at a town board
Wait a
meeting.
minute, no, let's go back, Caitlin, okay, let's go back, because in your interview, you said that if they had a problem, they could call you.
Exactly.
Okay, well, if his dog getting attacked, he should be
He
calling
did,
you.
and my husband was there within 5
And he
minutes.
called you, and
And
what
there
do
was
you
no
do?
evidence of an attack.
Yes or no? Did you
Okay.
say your dog didn't get attacked?
Yeah, let's not go any further with that, okay? Because Caitlin, you're contradicting yourself, and Jeff
Okay.
had said what he had said, okay? So I'm just going by what you said was an issue, and here, the only, John, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The only other, we've been here for these meetings for the last 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is, and the only complaint we heard was from Clay Hill. And people thought that was our house. That wasn't our house, we were not there, that's not our house letting guns fire off. That's the only complaint we heard in person here about anything the sheriff's being called.
So,
And I understand that's not our house, but I understand there was confusion that made that was my house. I was even asked for my number to supply to the neighbor of the house.
yeah,
So
Okay,
somebody
that-
from the board came up to my husband and said, what's your number? Because the neighbor keeps on complaining that there's gunshots going off. And we said, gunshots? What's the address? He said, Clay Hill. Do you remember this?
I do.
Okay. So
That's
is
the only
it,
complaint we've actually physically seen or heard in here, besides just telling us that we've had noise complaints. Which I understand we've had noise complaints, but again, that's the only one we've physically seen here.
Okay.
And I'm not, yeah, again, that's not us, like, we don't own that property.
No, I know.
understand.
so for you to get that
Go ahead,
complaint
yeah.
and then for you to state in this paper, but we've never gotten any complaints from any other property that are rented individually.
I haven't.
You just said about the gunshots at Clay Hill.
No, I didn't say that. What I said to him was, I hadn't had any
Lord,
complaints.
Sam.
I hadn't had any complaints.
Nobody's, okay, so what has been complaints about my house? I don't care who's from.
Okay.
What are these complaints and why,
Complaints
and
have
why
been,
have not been brought to my attention?
well, it's been brought to your attention, you just passed
From
it.
who? From you?
I report, I mentioned to you at the last meeting, the
No, no,
first.
no. My question to you is, I'm gonna be very, very clear. When the complaints come in,
Yes,
okay, you're looking out for my neighbors or for the community.
Yes.
When they come in,
yes.
who should be notified first? Whatever is problematic, if I am the problem, I should be notified to correct that.
Okay.
The point of all of this
You're right.
law is to have a
You should,
community and to be respectful
you
of
should be
people, right?
notified, and in many of those cases, the reason they've come to me is because they have notified you and you haven't done anything about it. I am not your property
Yeah.
manager, and I don't want to be your property manager.
I would never hire you to be.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, you don't know what you're missing, okay? But that's your, yeah.
If
Okay,
it's some good.
so, all right. So no, but my point being is, okay, is that that's not my responsibility or anybody else's board's their responsibility to tell you who's making the complaints.
You should be notifying me about this.
They notified you themselves. That's the
How do you know
point.
this? How do you know that? How can you sit up here and say they did this, you did this? You were not there.
You're right, I
So
wasn't.
the only thing
I'm
that,
going by what they told me. I have to accept their word the same as you
so
want
why
me to
not
accept
accept
yours.
mine?
I didn't say I didn't
Because
accept
you're
yours.
singling me out. You're singling more
I didn't say I didn't accept yours. Nobody said I didn't accept yours.
What's your next question?
Go on to the next question.
So you say you never received a complaint about any other property but mine.
That's correct.
So the Clay Hill one, you forgot about that.
Can I
Is that-
interrupt for
Is
1
that
second?
correct?
Yes, you can.
I have a question on this Clay Hill one, because that was me that spoke with you.
Yeah.
I asked you, there was no complaint lodged. I walked out up to you after the meeting that you said you wanted to be notified and said, could you tell me, do you own that property? And you said no.
Yeah.
And I told you that there was a problem there, and, you know, I was wondering who it was. There was no complaint lodged to you. You asked me what the problem was, but you had said,
I never said there was a complaint lodged to me. I said there was a complaint while in this meeting, that there was a complaint I got another rental.
well, I think that's a lot of the problem, is you totally are misrepresenting anything anyone
The
brings.
statement
to
was,
you.
ask for my number to get to the people that.
You said, tell the people to
Yes,
call
this is
you.
my property.
So I
And
said,
then
what's
you
your
asked
phone
him for
number?
his number because there was complaints about property. That's exactly what we're saying.
If it's my property, here's my number, I'll give it to all of you. But if it's not my property, then you come to me and say, can I have the number for the people next to Clay Hill?
But then 2 months later, you come in and say there was a complaint lodged to you out here outside this
He was
building?
simply saying that he said there was never any other complaint about any other properties in Fort Hays regarding a rental. He said there was no complaint besides the Moss family. Okay, so I'm saying, there was one right here in this meeting where Clay Hill was brought up, the sheriff's report, where they were shooting guns at 7 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was,
Both.
they were done. That was a complaint that brought to the town, right? Somebody had to hear about it because it was brought up here. So then, after the meeting, you came out and said, can I have your number? I said, sure, for my property, that's fine. You said, no, for the Clay Hill people. I'm like, I don't own Clay Hill, I don't even know where Clay Hill is.
And you said, oh, I'm sorry about
And
that.
I'm not trying to I'm not
Okay,
trying to
that's not what I'm saying.
I'm
I'm
just
just-
saying it never brought me. I'm
Okay.
not saying it was, I'm just saying it was another complaint in the town for something we don't own.
That Sam
That's all I'm
was aware
saying.
of. That Sam was
I'm not
aware of.
fighting with you, I'm not
Whether it
fighting
came to you,
I'm saying
whether it
something
came to someone else.
Besides my property.
You were aware of it. So the statement that you made in here is false.
No, it's not.
You were aware of this issue. You were aware of this.
I am not reminding me, Caitlin. I get so many of them about it that I don't,
That's fair.
You didn't
Tenable,
say-
okay?
Okay, so let's move on. So 90% of the problem is a volume of people from the Moskowitz family. It's a safety issue. It's out of control.
Yep. I
Okay.
stand by that.
Okay, so can you please just tell me what's a safety issue and what's out of control? Because
Sure.
We can't correct anything unless we know.
Well, I think you have a good feeling for what that
No,
is.
no, yeah.
It's the number of people in some of your places, for example, one of the places up there is voted for, and this was on, I believe it was on the east side of the lake, that's, you had like 5, 6, maybe even 7 cars parked there on the side of the road and stuff, the people
No.
who were there.
On the side of the road.
No parking outside of our driveways.
All the cars that we allow will fit in every single one of our
The only
driveways.
driveway that we had a problem with people parking off the driveway but never into the road is over on Headline Line, on the other side of the, on Sunset View. They
Okay.
never park in Sunset View Way, they
Okay.
park up the driveway.
Okay, so now let me finish what I was saying, okay? So the number of cars that were in the parking lot of the building exceeded the number of people that were authorized to be by code to be in the building. Okay, so, you know, and all those cars, I'm sure didn't come with one per person. Okay, so there you go, okay? So that's what I was referring to, was the code issue.
That's the safety issue, that our driveway is blocked.
Exactly.
So from what though?
Well, the ones at the fire, and we had a fire
Fire
department.
company doesn't come up Pillar Way.
No, I'm not talking about Pillar Way. I'm talking about over on the east side, I'm at the west side.
Okay.
Okay, the fire responded up there because a fire alarm,
Fire smoke detector.
you smoke everyone off.
And my car was the one that was in the way, 'cause I was there first.
We're
Okay,
saying that incident was, that's a
So the
safety
fire,
program.
and I talked to all the fire chiefs, they were all there.
yeah, I know, that's where I got this from.
And that was my truck in the way, blocking everything, because I was like, there's no reason to be here, so I'm here first.
Okay, well, I wasn't going there with that part of it, okay? So that I didn't know. What I did know is that they were concerned because when the people come out of the house, they said, should they get the kids out? And they said, what do you mean to get the kids out? I thought I better out, and they said, no, we got kids in the basement,
Yeah, they were in the basement.
okay? So, and I think the numbers, I'm going by what I was told, the numbers are probably over more than what it was coded for to be in there.
It wasn't, but,
Okay, I mean, I'm just telling you what,
Maybe it is, maybe it is, but.
well, the point being, that's where we come to safety issue.
That's fine.
For our rescue,
That's the safety issue, that's what we know.
for our rescue workers when they come. They don't know when they come to one of the places that are rented out like that. It's hard enough in a home, but for something that you really don't have a handle on, to come and know, have I got 6 people in there, or have I got 2
We
people
have
in
a
there?
handle on it.
How many
If someone
times?
asked me how many adults and how many children in that house, it would be, I don't know. But there was no fire. That's exactly what it was.
Yep.
My husband was already there, I already talked to the guests, we already tried to cancel the fire department,
Understand,
so we were on it.
but they have to respond.
Okay,
If
so
they get that, they have to.
Of course, and I'm very completely with it, so what is the difference if the fire responds to my property and there's 6 cars that can easily fit in that driveway? Or responds to my neighbor's property who doesn't rent and there's 12 cars parked along the side of the road? Why isn't that a safety issue for you?
It is a safety issue.
So then why isn't that being written in this law?
Because they're
Why
not,
is it just for short-term rental?
because they're not a businessman.
What does it matter? Is it?
It matters 100%.
It's a
Listen
safety issue.
to logic. If
Listen
I,
to the logic.
yes, I think I'm a logical person. I've been very logical with you. I'm very transparent with you.
So my renter safety is a higher concern than my residents next door.
No.
So then why shouldn't there be a limit of how many cars are allowed in their parking lot than mine?
Because they're not a business.
Yeah.
Are businesses in the United States subject to regulation?
It's
Are-
a residential
I'm
property.
asking you a question.
It's a residential
Are
property.
businesses in the United States of America subject to regulation?
Okay,
There we go.
time out.
Okay.
My property,
Does that regulate?
my,
You don't let me finish this nonsense, please. Do those regulations come from individual people or they come from governments? On the businesses. They come from the governments. They come from local municipalities, they come from state government, they come from federal government, right? Okay? We have stuff in place for private properties. You have laws and regulations in place for businesses. That's just part of being a business owner, is knowing that you are going to be subject to regulation. That's how it works.
I have no problem with
And I
regulations.
understand, listen, let me finish. I understand that you're saying, what about Mike Sexton's property? And what differentiates the two? I live in my property full time. If I know that there's a fire in my house, I am, with due diligence, going to move my vehicles out of my driveway.
So you don't think that my guests would do the same thing?
I don't know. You are speaking for your guests. I don't know. I would hope that they would.
And I don't think that you would.
That would be very logical to do, to move the vehicles so the fire trucks get.
Mike, I'm not gonna disagree with that, but most people don't common sense think to go move their vehicles to get them.
Well,
Think about what.
That's the time of the emergency services, okay?
Family, yeah, the emergency services will
That's
find a
the
way
time
to
of the
figure it out.
emergency services.
So,
Second of all,
so,
go
no, you
ahead,
should know.
go ahead, you can fire back,
You should
sure.
know. You cannot tell me that there should be 15 cars allowed in yours and 2 cars allowed in mine, when my driveway is 4 times as big as yours, for safety issues.
Logically, let's say not
Right? You
logically,
cannot
let's
tell
say,
me, you
let's
cannot
say,
tell me that my septic has to be inspected, but yours doesn't, yours doesn't, yours doesn't, yours doesn't.
I have.
How is that fair? It's, no, if stuff, if
Don't tell me no.
If waste,
Listen
I
to
am telling
what
you,
I'm
if
saying.
waste is going in the lake and it is polluting, why is my renter's waste more potent than yours or than yours?
Because you have
Why?
several people for several days, for several weeks, for
With
several
a
months.
brand new
I don't have
septic,
on any day.
A brand new septic.
Regular house. I don't
a
think
brand new
majority of people
septic that is
afford it.
supporting the amount of people that you're sleeping. It is supporting it.
You say supporting, but that's not what the code said.
The code's the one that gave it to us, so.
I know what the codes gave you, but you have more people in there than that.
What do you mean you
John?
have people?
The one over there where you have your bachelor parties and bachelorettes to stay overnight.
Okay.
That's code for one number.
Enough with the bachelor and
that's-
bachelorette parties.
Everyone
Enough.
should have a bachelor party.
Enough. Okay? Because every single one in this room who lives on Papa has had a party. I'm on that lake, I see it. They have had cars parked on the side of the road. Everyone has. Everyone has.
Okay,
Occasionally.
I have it.
What do you mean occasionally? So
There's this week after week after week after week.
I disagree. I disagree. Okay?
And you're allowed to.
Excuse me?
I said you're allowed to. That's fine.
It is absolutely insane that our properties are getting singled out. Well, in the summer, week after week, they are rented, and it's families in the summer, right? So if you want to say bachelor and bachelorette, that's fine. But on the documents, it is families. Just like the rest of Halifax rented. Everyone's targeting us, I don't know why.
no, see, that's,
I don't know why.
and that's the game you play, okay? If you read that draft regulation, it doesn't talk about just you, it doesn't talk about just businesses.
You just talk about me.
Man, that feeling comes.
You just talk about me.
And I apologize for that, so we can kick that horse all you want, but it doesn't change the fact.
This is
doesn't
the
change
first
the
time I ever hear you say I apologize for that. It's the first time.
I didn't say I apologize.
You just said I apologize for that. Now you're taking it back?
No, I'm taking it
Come on,
back. I told you right up front, right along, I said, I meant what I said, okay? That they had a thing, and that's just how it was acted. And that wasn't
Yeah, you are.
at you, that wasn't
No,
aimed at you, it
it's a
was the
shame.
way it was being treated at the business.
It's a shame. It's a shame that you represent Florida town like this. It is. Because you know what? I'm a part of this community just like everyone else. I contribute to this community just like everybody else. No, there is no reason. We do nothing wrong. We follow every rule, every regulation that comes. Everybody else I know how life does not. They do not. Who's renting? They don't. We are doing it the right way. If somebody calls and complains, we take care of it. Who is
Yeah, come on.
protecting me from people like this?
Come on.
Who is protecting me from being on hotline? Who am I to call if I complain? I have to call the sheriff. They get to call you, and then you get to hold it for however long you want, and then decide to tell me about the complaint, and then hold it against me because I have to take care of complaints.
Nobody has to
Come
call me.
on.
If you were managing your business, nobody would have to call me.
If
You're
I
taking
manage
care
my
of people.
business, I think I'm pretty successful at managing my business. Okay? Have a good night, Sam. Let's go.
Okay, John, I'll catch you later, guys. All right, does anybody else have anything they want to ask? Chad?
If by chance I was to foil any information based on the conversations we're hearing here tomorrow, how many official complaints in writing would I see on Northern Living?
You
Well,
probably,
I know.
you
You think?
probably see several.
Because this thing is beginning to sound like the MX track all over again.
No, let me,
I'm just gonna throw out a suggestion. Maybe it's crazy as who knows what. But the town board should take all complaints. But they should also say to the people that are complaining, can you please put that in writing, either send it to us via snail mail, send it to us via email.
that would
The
work.
public would kind of know more of what's going on because it looks way too secretive when you're sitting out here.
Well, let me explain that to you, okay? The reason it's secretive is because when I'm at Stewart's in the morning, somebody comes and says to me, hey, I got this problem, and I say, put that in writing. They say, no, I'm not gonna put it in writing because we're
So it's
treated
not a
terribly.
real complaint.
Well, it's a real complaint. I believe them. It's a real complaint. No, because some of these people, okay, these have said these people are very vindictive and they've done things to them. Okay? So why would they want to put it in writing? Why would they want to put it in writing? They don't want They don't want trouble with their neighbors. Okay? They have talked to them about the additional parking, about like the bigger house. They can't get out for work in the morning. They can't get into the drive. They talk to them, and what happens is they get a phone call from someone else saying, "That's not the way it happened. Or this is what you should do about it." And try to make it the other individuals that's making the complaints responsibility to take care of their business. That doesn't matter if he puts a complaint in writing like this. So
And whether that's true or not, it's still one-sided because the public can't research it and look at it.
well, if the neighbors wanted the public to know, they would put it in writing.
So if I'm the neighbor and I'm complaining, and I won't give you an email or something in writing, then I think the town board should let the authorities take care of it.
Well, who's the authority? We're trying to do that now with the law that says they have to report it.
We're not the authorities though, are we? The town board is the authority?
They're the ones who do local law, yeah. What do you think's gonna do it?
It should be.
No, answer my question. You said we're not. What do you think it is? What do you think it is, Jack?
You have, the town board has the ability to go there and arrest someone if they're doing something
No, the
wrong.
sheriff doesn't either unless we have a local law. That's the point. See?
So
the reason-
in reality, if I'm gonna make a complaint and it's legitimate, I don't have a problem putting it in writing.
Well, a lot of people.
This is Fort Ann, I see a lot of things go on here being on the planning board.
You know, why?
And again, this sounds just like the MX track all over again.
Well, it's not the MX track.
Well, I think somehow it should be handled differently. Somehow, something should be traceable so that apparently someone over here knows what's going on supposedly. You know what's going on, the rest of the general public has no clue.
Jeff?
And
Right.
what stands up in court?
Let it run.
Just hearsay? Does
But
hearsay?
this board works for
Stand
the
up in
town of
court?
Fort Ann.
No.
It should be
No, it
supporting
has to be
all
on
residents,
paper.
not
But
just
it's
the
not.
public.
No, it doesn't.
It
Just
does,
because it's on paper doesn't mean it's true.
but hearsay doesn't stand.
Hearsay is the same thing.
No, it's not. There's not.
So, there's a lot of people sitting out here, Supervisor Hall, that are wondering really what's going on here. And there's more than two sides to every story.
Exactly.
So it would be nice if somehow they could clarify this
and at least get some on paper so that 95% of it isn't hearsay.
Those people, well, it's still hearsay, because you don't know if it's true or not. Good job.
I'll put every documentation in writing and you give it to you and the board soon. You maybe 6-7 days and all my grievances. So you can deliver it to him and hopefully, or anybody else that wants to see it. I'm 15 feet from this hotel. It's a hotel whether you like it or not. We need regulations on these people because we're on Hadlock Ponds where a lot of these grievances are coming, and it's just gonna mushroom year after year after year. Now, there's other companies besides that lady and her husband that are all over the place that do the same thing. West Road's beautiful, the whole town of Fort Ann is beautiful. Just because they're doing it on Hadlock now doesn't mean it couldn't be any place in Fort Ann.
They're already doing other places that they haven't.
Yeah, and it's just gonna mushroom, no regulations, no rules, they do whatever they want. And by the way, I did call her, and I said my dog got attacked. We got into a heated argument, as you can imagine, I was very, emotional about my pets, my aunt. And she said your dog did not get attacked. She's blatantly lying, my dog got attacked, that's why I called her, and we got into it because she called me a liar, okay? The next thing I know, Warren County shows up at my house. I told him my side. He goes, just go to the town board. They can do something. That's what he said. So that's my story. I don't want my name trashed all over the place because she does her little thing over here. But if we don't do something here soon, regulations, I mean serious regulations, this is just going to get worse year after year after year. And people are going to be asking this board, Sam and you too, why didn't you do something about it? So all I'm saying, we need some serious regulations on these hotels, and that's what they are. They fall under this short-term
Chad,
stuff.
to get back to one of the other questions, that's okay. Part of the reason that we actually need a short-term thing, in addition, is to answer Caitlin's questions. How many of these do we have across the town? We don't know. Because unless somebody complains about them, you don't know if they're there. Because many people screen their people. They have other people come in, unless they happen to be somebody who lives next to a facility that's having an issue. They go out with their business. So, we have no way of knowing how many we actually have in the town until we put something in place to do that. And that's part of the process with the short-term rentals and short-term leases. So we know what we've got to run. Yes, Bill.
Sam, I just want to say I agree with you. Until you pass a local law that gives you enforcement authority, there's nothing, when we have a complaint, there's no one or nothing to enforce it against. There has to be a local law setting specifics that then someone can issue a ticket and they can come to the local judge and adjudicate. But until that exists, there is, my complaint to Sam is no good. I have talked to John and Caitlin. We're right in the middle of the rentals. A house next to us that was built just a little while ago for 4 people. Gets rented out for 16. There's nothing on the books right now that regulates that. Until there's something on the books, there's nothing the town can do and nothing I can file a complaint against.
And your statement is 110% correct. But being on the planning board numerous years for this town, I'll throw this out there, even on film. You probably, let's use business. Probably 80% of the businesses that have come to this town and have a site plan review and all the paperwork aren't doing what they originally said they were going to do. So you kind of have the complication of, oh, I'm going to pick on this one and this one and this one and disregard 80%. I can go down a list if you want me to know. This is the problem I'm having with it. My problem is it seems like you're discriminating
No, what we're,
Because I can't even foil anything, because I'm betting if I foil
We're
it, you
taking
have
this- we're taking this
zero
one step-
copies on.
we're taking this
on-
one step at a time, Chad. For just what you're saying.
We don't,
And we're
we don't need more rules when we aren't enforcing the ones we have.
Well, I have to say, we were one of the original people coming to the board to ask for this. After Queensberry has passed this law,
We are Queensbury,
well,
just so
I'm
you
just
know.
saying, the town of, where Old Forge is, has passed its equivalent law. Now you're talking about Lake Placid, Bolton Landing, these type of places where there's lakes involved and a lot of rental property and like this is becoming a real issue. And we came to the board and other people and asked them to begin to address these issues. And they're moving along with this, step by step.
So Chad, let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Because you made us a point. We're not Queensbury. So does that mean that our people, our residents that live next to under short-term leases shouldn't have the same quality of life as those people in Queensbury because they live in Fort Anne? They should be able to say, oh, you should live
Not
in
at all.
Queensbury. Okay. So
No, I'm saying from where I'm sitting, Supervisor Law, it looks like the MX track all over again. Let me use the D word, it sounds like discrimination, because if I foil this week, what real complaints did the town have in writing against Northern Living, I'm betting money that there's very little, if any,
I wouldn't put that bet too far.
very little. You got 10?
You can go to Northern Living and ask them how many they got. I believe they may have
How many
foiled
do
some
we
stuff.
have? You know?
They may have foiled some stuff, maybe you should go speak to them. They should make the employees in the right direction. How many they
But
got.
again, it's,
But there is no.
we're hearing that there's a lot of complaints.
There's no formal mechanism that exists
Right. And
to
it's,
have complaints.
Right.
The town really doesn't even have a right to take a
There's
formal
not.
complaint because they don't have a local law.
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to do. We do exactly what you're saying.
If I write the town tomorrow with a legitimate complaint and ask it to be filed
Your,
on record, it'll be there, right or wrong?
your determination, legitimate, and mine is two different things. If Bill Holman says to me that he was at one of their houses, that something was done to his house by the person next door, I take that to be legitimate. I don't call him a liar. Just because he doesn't put it on paper. What I know is some of these people have already had issues, numerous issues, and been told basically, you know, well, you don't know what you're talking about, that didn't happen, or I've taken care of it, it's already been done. Okay? So, you know, I'm not gonna put a citizen in that situation. When all we have to do is go with the law, and that gives away the track, it gives a list of complaints, and then it goes everywhere. It goes to the sheriff, because you have the authority to turn it in so they can enforce it. You know, it was like, I'll give you an example, okay? Noise ordinance, we don't have a noise ordinance. So, whenever the sheriff gets a call regarding the MX track when he first started out there, he couldn't really go enforce anything because there's no law to enforce. Go ahead, Bill.
Sam, why don't, you know, I understand these people's concerns, why don't they have fire restrictions and have the code enforcement officer, hey, there's 20 cars at so-and-so's house, it's like there's only supposed to be 4 people there.
The reason,
Like they enforce that in like a regular business, like, you know, maximum.
because they can't, that's why we need the law, Bill, and this is where the problem comes in. The problem comes in because code enforcement goes on the, when they go to do the inspections, like for the septic systems, okay? What the New York State law says,
Right, I
all right,
understand
is
that.
that you have to do it by a certain number of residents, if you will, okay? So if they were building a septic system, which they have, for 6 people that are in it, okay, to
Now there's
stay
30.
overnight, and now there's 30 to stay
Well, why don't
overnight,
they
or
have a
even come
maximum
down.
occupancy, just like any commercial building? This town hall is.
Because it's built, it's the way that the law is put out, it's put over bedroom space, and there are no people that can sleep in it, okay? So when you have a bedroom space that'll sleep, so let's say 6 people, but then throughout the day, numerous times, and overnight, because they're sleeping on their floors and the porch and everything else, just because you have another 50 people there for that party, doesn't mean they're not going to use that restroom, okay, day and night. That's where the issue comes in, okay? And that's why we're trying to put this in a category that it should be put into, so we can do some of these things, even what Chad is talking about. Okay, he'll give us a list and we'll know how many we actually have this time.
Right, and these short-term rentals, I'm not saying they targeting anyone. Short-term rentals kind of scapegoat that practice by not being a business in the state of New York as of this point.
Well, that's why I was
So-
going with the occupancy, like,
Right.
this way.
Right,
There's
that's
50
why.
people in a house that's supposed to have, say, 10.
Right. And that's what, through local legislation, we're attempting to do. Well, let's say any other legitimate business, sure, they have to go through all that, yes, this is gonna be your max occupancy, you have the fire codes, you have the fire marshal's reports, you have all of that different stuff that we're lacking right now. So until we get this, we won't have that, and that's the difficult part.
Mr. Birch?
Sam, we're getting into local laws, and can you correct me if I'm wrong, but you can pass all the local laws you want, but if you don't have a department, and an enforcement department, you cannot enforce it.
Well, that depends on
Because the
what
sheriffs won't do it,
well,
the last I knew,
they will do it if we have a local law.
okay, but that
Supposedly.
wasn't before.
No, and you're right, and that's been an issue. I think we've got that turned around.
Okay.
Hopefully. So that was
Because,
what
you
you
know,
said.
I hate to head down a road that's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
You're a good police officer.
Agreed.
Chad?
And if I may, your comment on the track, sure, you don't even need a local noise ordinance law. He has a site plan review.
Right.
If he's outside of his operating hours and he's making noise, there you go.
Yep.
So you can shut him down. You don't need a local noise ordinance.
Well, you need to.
I think he's got a great point. That's what other people have not stressed. But I'll say it again. We have all these laws in place and they're not being used. So we're gonna make another one and implement it on a few? Because the town board gets a few calls?
I would say it's a few calls.
That's what it sounds like.
I would say it's a few calls. When I stopped going to Stewart's in the morning to get a chocolate milk, there was something there that keeps me away from going there.
Go to Corinth, Sam.
Come to the bar's got coffee.
So, no, there's a reason for that, okay? I get many complaints, all right? The other issue we have are the boat traffic that's being put on there from rented boats that are coming, from places people rent the boats up in Ticonderoga. And that's not their doing, but that's, theirs being Northern Limits, but it's put more and more boats and traffic on of individuals that may or may not be licensed to drive the boat. They come to spend the week there, whatever the case may be, or the parties that go on, but they're being launched from their site, so. With their understanding of it. So I just, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, Lake Cadlock is a separate entity, is it not?
It is.
Couldn't they control a lot of those problems, or is that why not?
Because the lake is owned, a lot of the lake is owned by the town.
And the water is owned by New York State.
Because how the boats getting on the lake?
So your question.
But the lake doesn't have a separate association with their own.
They have, they don't have, they can't, they have no authority.
Other people.
It's a private lake. It's a private lake. Okay, so nobody can get onto it unless somebody lets them onto it.
New York State controls all the water in all the lakes. But the lake bottom, in our circumstances, is owned by the town of Fort Anne. The Lake Hadlock Park District, I believe is the form.
Right.
And that owns the lake bottom, the dam, and some land below the dam. The water is owned by New York State, is regulated by New York State. Now, we used to have every once in a while the Washington County boat patrol, when they had it come on the lake periodically, like, for a couple of years it didn't exist, so we haven't seen that. But we have to meet all the New York State regs, our boats need to be registered and all that. But it's access, it just so happens there is no public access to this lake, but people can allow other people to launch boats. Am I correct?
So then, I guess, to wrap this up, Chad, I guess my further comment would be is that people in other areas own short-term rentals in other towns. And they have to go by the plans that are in that town, the laws, local laws that are in that town for short-term leasing. Why is it such a problem in Fort Eaton if you do it in other towns? Yes, Gretchen?
I've had concerns from people who live on the lake, and it's safety concerns. There's different people every weekend or almost every weekend, and they speed their boats around. They swim out to the middle of the lake at night. Someone's going to get killed, you know, and you can't stop them. They get drinking and they think they own the world and they can go anywhere. During the day, they speed up and down the lake. People are afraid to let the kids swim, you know, on weekends especially. So it's the people who have talked to me are concerned about safety, and people who don't know how to run a boat or just use bad judgment on the lake.
So there is no patrol on the lake whatsoever?
Not really, no. Not unless
What
they,
happened years ago, they used to sheriff should always be on the lake.
I know, they used to, but they don't anymore unless
There's
you
a funding, the funding, you know better than I do, but the funding dried up because they stopped. And I heard that they were getting it back on, and it,
I mean,
this
who
boat
inspects
periodically
the
goes
boats?
down.
Nobody, or
This summer you probably see the sheriff's patrol back on
inspects
the
the boats or anything?
No.
No,
Nobody?
no. So these boats come in, and we don't know if they've been washed or whatever. We don't know if people know how to run them. They just go out. And I've spent $5,000 a night or whatever for a house. I'm gonna do what I wanna do, you know, type thing.
But the state owns the water.
Hmm?
The state owns the water.
Yeah, all
State owns the whole story, that should be easy to cure, I would think. You have safety violations, you have boats coming and going.
Mhm.
I thought that was a big state issue.
Again, who's gonna enforce it? The states?
The
They got
state
bigger
should
fish to
supply
fry.
somebody, whether local police or state
The
police.
state police have.
These
You're
have
killing
a
me,
whole
right?
lot bigger fish to fry than little.
Well,
ones.
then the lake needs to form their own thing and shut the place
We
down.
have no.
Basically.
We have no legal.
Don't let people bring your boat in. What's the
How are
problem?
you gonna stop it?
Especially if you're worried about transferring species of whatever comes out of the boat nowadays. I mean, the town shouldn't have to take care of that.
Well, the association shouldn't have to take care of it because it's
That issue
The
might.
association should be calling the state and saying, come on down.
That issue might have to be readdressed, because there is some type of legislation coming about invasive species on all water in New York State, and what they wanna do with it. But I haven't seen a final statement.
Where did the funds come from to clean that lake? Or milfoil and whatnot?
it comes from the
Why is
taxpayers.
that?
Look at that.
They have,
Where does it come from? The
The
association?
Park District,
we
I'm
have,
sorry?
the Park District.
as a special tax district.
And they
You would think they would be concerned about the money they're paying and have that stuff removed if people
They
are just
are,
bringing
but
the
they're
boats
also
in.
paying for the damn dam that blew out.
They are, but you know, it's you know, that's the problem. They have a lot of concerns, and this is part of the concerns that you know we're getting slapped in the head with here and say, well, we really don't need, we're not a business, so we don't need to do these things. So, well, you are a business.
Sam, can you just tell us what the association actually, what's the Lake Association actually do? What is their job? What is the reason?
They are a association that really, they originally formed for the wellness of the lake, the wellness of the water. But they have no authority at all. They're advisory council more than anything else.
But it's about the water itself.
And they were,
Okay.
Association.
And the milfoil.
Same thing as the neighborhood association.
yeah, pretty much advisory, and that's all they don't have any authority.
Now, we spend our money over the years. 10 years ago, we were funding the weed harvesting. The town has stepped in and has funded that more. the park district, through the park district taxes. The rest of the town pays nothing for that. We had spent $6,000 last year to stop fishing, you know, from our membership. We run a testing of the water quality through the Citizen Sea Slot program that's statewide to keep historic track of the water. We pay for that. We pay for some experts to come out periodically to do a review of our lake. That's what we use our dues money. We're not using taxpayers' money. We're using membership dues to pay for that.
Okay, so let's say it's a beautiful sunny day and I am from Fort Ann and I just decide I'm gonna take my boat and I'm gonna go on your lake and I don't know anybody there. I just go and do it. Now what do you do?
Technically, you can't get on because
I drag my boat through the weeds because I know a couple different weed spots and get on the lake.
Every place around the lake is privately owned. Because we as association went for some state money and like that to do certain cleanup projects on the lake and all that. And because we are a private owned lake, do not have a state boat launch, we cannot qualify for any of these grants that are out there you see other lakes have. So you must either be breaking the law and trespassing or have permission from a property owner to get onto.
Okay, so let's say I trespass. I don't have permission. I trespass. I'm on the water.
There's nothing I can do to you.
Nobody.
Well, yeah.
They can call the sheriff's office.
You can trespass.
And it's not easy. The lake is not easy to access for a lot of property. Very few properties have good launch sites on our lake. My property you can't own. I can launch a canoe, a kayak, but not a motorboat. I bring it in. I pay somebody to let me launch and pick it up, in and out.
Thank you.
Okay, so I apologize, I let this get way off the course of what we're discussing, but it all kinds of ties into what we were talking about, so. Let's move on to the new business portion. We have to open up the RFPs for the audit that we're take a look at here. So Barbara, if you do us the honors, please.
Yes, we had a deadline of February 10th at 3 p.m., the end of business day, and we only received one, and it was on January 26th. And it was from Stokes, Visca, Hucko, and Barone out of Rochester. And it says, thank you for inviting us to propose our services to you. We welcome the opportunity to share our approach to helping the town of Fort Ann meet their reporting needs. Per our discussions, Stokes, Visca, Hucko, and Barone CPAs LLC can help the town with the following projects. There's 4 that are listed. Number 1, prepare or review the annual update document. Number 2, reviewing or preparing the notes to the financial statements / annual update document. 3, consult with the town regarding financial issues / projects. 4, help the town transition to a computer-based accounting software system. We estimate that our fees for reviewing the annual update document would be approximately $1,000. We estimate that our fees for reviewing / editing the notes to be the financial statements annual update document would be approximately $800. We estimate that our fees for preparing the annual update document would be approximately $2,000. We estimate that our fees for preparing the notes to the financial statements / annual update document would be approximately $1,500. Special projects and accounting software implementation assistance would be billed at the following rates. It is difficult to estimate the time and fixed costs of these projects. Partner, $220. Manager, $150. Senior accountant, $125. I'll make copies.
So this is what we have for the bid. Do we have a motion to accept the bid?
Yeah.
Right, seconded by George. there any discussion? So, just so everyone is aware, the reason that we're looking at doing this is that as we start to progress here, things are getting more complicated for reports that need to be done by the state. And based on the fact that we do not have a computerized system that does that, and anybody who's been through one of our audits realizes that we sit here and our clerks are still, to this day and age, handwriting all of the notes and ledgers, entries into the accounting books. It's time to move in this direction. And we individuals do not have the expertise to do that, so we're looking for somebody that has the expertise to do that. We do need to get moving on it. We've only had the one bid on it. We have a motion, we have a second, I believe it's George. Is there any further discussion besides waiting on this before we go ahead and accept this bid or reject it, whatever the case may be? So we do a roll call on this, please.
Shore. Stark.
Yes.
Sexton.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Witherell.
Yes.
And Hall.
Yes. Okay, now we move down to our resolutions.
Okay, resolution 38 of 2022. Resolution authorizing town of Fort Anne Town Supervisor to enter into agreement for town dog control shelter services pursuant to the New York State Agricultural and Markets Law, Article 7 for the year 2022. Resolved that the town board hereby authorizes and directs the town supervisor to sign and take all necessary steps to enter into the agreement with Lisa Barbato upon final attorney approval, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Do we have a motion to move that?
Make that motion?
Moved by Deb, do we have a second?
Second.
Gretchen, raise your hand, and Mike second as well. Is there any discussion? Yeah, my discussion on this, just so we know here, that Lisa is the lady that takes care of our dog control at this point in time. Countryside, who had dealt with us in the past, to board the animals that we have to pick up and place, said they were not interested in doing it anymore. We couldn't find any other places as we checked around that wanted to do it. They were pretty much overloaded with what they had now in their capacities. So she had a shelter that she could utilize. And in order to do that, you have to have it approved for the egg and marketing. And so I thought we were going backwards. I thought that egg and marketing would have to approve the facility before we could approve the contract. But apparently they have to have the contract before they can go ahead and start their stuff to do the egg and marketing. So that's why we're doing this before they approved it. But they did say that they thought she was on target to do what she needed to do, etc. But they had to have the resolution so they could do their part of the application process. It makes sense to me, but that's what the lady can make it more sense, and that's why we expand on it all. Jeff, is that?
No, it seems pretty accurate. Any agreement in place would provide an out for the town in the event they disprove her facility. So to the extent they have to find alternate shelter services, we won't know if we're in that position until later, and the agreement allows for an out for the town.
All right. So we have a second. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 39 of 2022, resolution adopting the auditing of the financial records of the town of Fort Anne. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Fort Anne has audited the financial records of the town clerk, tax collector, town justice, and supervisor for the fiscal year January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 at a special meeting held on January 2022, and hereby adopts the same.
Do we have a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll do it.
Gretchen? Second, George? Is there any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call, so.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Supervisor Hall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stark?
Yes.
Councilman Sexton?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Witherell?
Yes.
Resolution 40 of 2022, authorizing the town of Fort Anne to amend the agreement with Washington County for appraisal services, exemption services, and assessment services. Resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized to enter into an intermunicipal agreement on behalf of the town of Fort Anne, subject to final attorney approval.
Do we have a motion to move resolution number 40?
Make a motion.
Okay, by Mike Sexton, do we have a
I'll
second? Second by Deb Littleton. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
We're gonna do a roll call on this.
Okay.
Councilman Sexton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Starr,
Yes.
Councilwoman Witherell,
Yes.
and Supervisor Hall.
Yes.
There we go. Resolution number 41 of 2022, extension of senior and individual with disabilities and limited income exemption opt-in. Now therefore be it resolved that the assessor shall extend the 2021 exemption status for those individuals receiving the senior exemption and those persons with disabilities and limited income exemptions through 2022 without the requirement of a renewal application, subject to an exception that the assessor may require a renewal application if he or she believes that an owner of real property that had previously qualified for the 2021 exemption has since changed their primary residence, added another owner to the deed, transferred the property to a new owner, or the owner has died.
Do we have a motion to move resolution number 41?
Make that motion.
Made by Michael, do we have any seconds?
Second.
Second by George, second by Gretchen. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will do a roll call, please.
Councilman Sexton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Starr,
Yes.
Councilwoman Witherell,
Yes.
and Supervisor Hall.
Yes.
Resolution number 42 of 22, resolution to accept the proposal from qualified certified public accountant. Resolve, the town board authorizes Supervisor Hall to execute any and all necessary documentation relative to assisting with the preparation of the AUD.
Do we have a motion to move that? This is the one, the bid we just opened.
So moved.
George moves it. You have a second?
Yes.
Deb seconds it. Is there any discussion? This is not a roll call, correct?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And number 43 of 2022, approving of a revised health insurance policy for retired former employees of the Highway Department of the town of Fort Anne. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Fort Anne hereby approves the following amended policy relating to retired former employees of the town of Fort Anne Highway Department. The town of Fort Anne shall pay for an individual's premium for the health insurance coverage that is then being offered to the town of Fort Anne Highway Department employees, as it may vary from time to time, so long as the retired employee is at least 55 years of age at the time he or she retires from the town of Fort Anne Highway Department for a minimum of 25 years of service with the town of Fort Anne. The payment by the town of Fort Anne of said premiums shall cease at the time the retired employee becomes eligible for Medicare. This policy shall not apply to spouses, domestic partners, or family members of the retired employee, and the town shall not have any obligation to pay for any portion of the premium of insurance coverage relating to a retired employee's spouse, domestic partner, and/or family member. The town board hereby repeals resolution number 61 of 2011, adopted on October 11th, 2011 in its entirety.
You have a motion to move that.
Make a motion.
Moved by Deb, seconded by Gretchen. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will go with the roll call, please.
Councilman Sexton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Starr,
Yes.
Councilwoman Witherell,
Yes.
and Supervisor Hall.
Yes.
And this one we went back and forth on. Paul wanted it in February, and then we had such a cold spell, he said, oh, let's wait till March. Then I saw him at Hannaford yesterday, and he said, oh, you're gonna kill me, we gotta go back with it in February, because we're having a warm-up Wednesday and Thursday. So here we go, resolution to post town roads to 8 tons. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fort Anne Town Board hereby declares that all vehicles having a gross weight of over 8 tons shall be temporarily excluded from all town highways. Resolved, the superintendent of highways for the town of Fort Anne is hereby authorized to post signs on all town highways and publish notice of the same.
Do we have a motion to move that? Made by Michael, your second by George. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. All Alright, that takes us to the resolutions, now we go to, I think we already did this, but we'll go to public discussion. Alright. Does anybody have anything, or serious something you wanna talk about, public discussion at this point in time? Anything you wanna add to what's already been said, or? Anything along those lines? Okay. Having done that, I will thank everybody for attending tonight and for their input and observations, and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by George, second by Michael, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming out on a cold, blistery night like this. It's cold.
I saw Lisa's last meeting with them.
Yeah.